Is it just me, or does nailing that work-life happy balance seem impossible sometimes? My name is Nikki Taromi, and welcome to the Phil 102 Radio Magazine of Philosophy. I hope in this episode tonight to offer a valuable perspective to normalize and validate experiencing all the emotions that come with becoming, accepting, reaching, seeking, finding happiness. I hope to address the dimensions of the society we live in that makes this pursuit and achieving that work-life balance all the more challenging and frustrating, and question this normalized and glamorized concept. Let's explore the actual root driving forces behind the capitalist myth of work-life balance, and explore two factors of such a system. One, toxic individualism, and two, toxic positivity, that can both impact the potential for happiness. In this hustle culture, neoliberal, capitalist society, we are socialized with norms, arbitrary beliefs, and social constructs that dictate how we should earn happiness by partaking in the system to be perceived as worthy, productive individuals. Once we enter society, it seems we are forced to earn the right to life, which means we spend our life in survival mode, driven by a pursuit of the good life. We are coerced to participate in systems where profits are prioritized over people and the planet, and as Wendell Berry suggests, leads to this artificial distinction between work and pleasure that we have been sold in order to drive economic growth, and how that distinction in turn has created a situation where we wait for weekends and evenings or holidays or retirement for that pleasure and happiness. Happiness is then sold to us as a byproduct of essentially partaking in such a system. That sounds exhausting. One of the reasons why we sometimes feel as though our unhappiness is due to a personal inadequacy could be due to a notion of toxic individualism, our first factor, where we end up looking for an individualistic solution to a problem and injustice that is actually systemic. The whole system operates in a capitalist, profit-oriented industry that is meant to accumulate profit and achieve certain metrics of productivity and achievement, and profit from selling self-help and cures for unhappiness, not saving lives or collective healing liberation as a common goal. Moreover, when we draw conclusions from the study of individuals or isolated problems in a vacuum, we don't account for sociopolitical, environmental, and systemic factors. According to scientist Dr. Aisha Khan, the colonial Western obsession with measuring everything like loss, pain, success, happiness is steeped with the logic of capitalism, individualism, competition, and winning. End quote. But I don't think that suffering, joy, pain, distress can be oversimplified to binaries. For Dr. Khan, it's that objectivity that's mostly colonial code for erasing alternative, BIPOC, collectivist, subjective, complex ways of existing that aren't rooted in domination, violence, individualism, and reductionism. End quote. Sadly, the individualist world we've created prioritizes self over collective care. So we think that by distancing ourselves from the harsh realities of the world and negative emotions, that's self-care. However, caring about each other, about justice, and doing our part amplifies a beautiful part of our humanity. Imagine what a world would be like if we worked in communities instead of each person fighting for themselves, where everyone can support one another, where people enjoy the work they are doing, and individualism and competition is not a force that pushes people beyond their breaking points. Besides toxic individualism, there's another key force behind the narrative of unhappiness being due to a personal inadequacy. It's toxic positivity, an idea that you choose to be happy, grateful, fulfilled, and if you make that choice regardless of what's happening, you'll be happy. We've heard this before, but is happiness a choice? We may choose to do gratitude practices, find the gift in lessons in difficult circumstances, all examples of these amazing actions, but I feel that choosing this pursuit doesn't last long, and there's something profound that still needs to be unearthed and examined. According to psychologist Jamie Long, toxic positivity is the excessive and ineffective overgeneralization of happy, optimistic state across all situations that results in a denial, minimization, and invalidation of the authentic human emotional experience. By disallowing the existence of certain feelings, we fall into a state of denial and repressed emotions. By accepting the narrative that pushes for consistently maintaining good vibes only, we split ourselves into this personal versus work image that conveniently works in favor of oppressive systems that exploit labor and drain us. In finding value and appropriateness of the full range of authentic experience of emotions, including negative emotions, I was inspired by a quote by the philosopher Nussbaum. Can one imagine a struggle for justice that was not fueled by justified anger? Can one imagine a decent society that is not held by compassion for suffering? Dear listeners, you are not broken, especially while navigating the kind of society we're living in. We need to actively challenge this false narrative we have been made to believe that unhappiness is merely a matter of our own inadequacy. As Dr. Aisha Khan says, chasing success within oppressive systems will leave us yearning for meaning and trapped in a cycle of loneliness and competition. So let us liberate ourselves from the frameworks of the work-life balance myth that dismiss the reality of how happiness, joy, safety, and anything meaningful rests on collectivism, mutual aid, valuing of people over profit, and doesn't come from a capitalist, individualist system, but from the community itself. And I know that we can all be a part of nourishing that. So I want to thank you, Phil 102, Philosophers in the Making, and my community for tuning in tonight.